My name's Bridget Bowen. I'm the comms director at the Texas Democratic Party. Progress Texas produces the content that we need to see in Texas in a way that's easy to digest for folks, no matter the age, no matter the social media platform. I know times are tough, but I think we're just getting started. We've got a new opportunity for a path forward, and I'm excited to be a part of it with all of y'all.
It's Friday, January 17th, 2025, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. Of all of our state agencies, none is more easily associated with bureaucratic incompetence, heartless disregard for the people it serves, and now outright criminality than the Texas Health and Human Services Commission. Terry Langford at the Texas Tribune is out with a report on 7 of that agency's employees who have been fired for improperly accessing and in some cases stealing money from the accounts of thousands of Texans who rely on the Medicaid, food stamps, and other public assistance that agency provides. 4 of those are tied to what's thought to be the largest data breach in the commission's history. They're suspected of accessing the personal account information of over 61,000 Texans without a proper reason. One was fired after officials said she was found to be in illegal possession of information from the public assistance accounts of over 3,000 people, and another 2 were fired on suspicion of stealing $270,000 from 500 different food stamp accounts. All of them have been referred to their local district attorney's offices for prosecution. I mean, 1 or 2 is one thing, but 7 is an indictment of the culture and security systems of this agency overall. Completely disgusting. And there's lots more in the link to the Texas Tribune in the show notes. Amarillo-based Christian nationalist and anti-choice activist Judge Matthew Kacsmaryk is back in the news after the states of Idaho, Kansas, and Missouri cherry-picked his court for approval to move ahead with their efforts to further restrict access to the abortion drug mifepristone. CBS News says the goal of these states is to force the FDA to do away with telehealth prescriptions for the drug, to limit its use to the first 7 weeks of pregnancy from the current limit of 10 weeks, and to add a requirement of 3 in-person doctor visits in order to access the drug. The ACLU responds that this case should have been settled when the U.S. Supreme Court unanimously preserved access to mifepristone last year, where the justices issued a narrow ruling finding that abortion opponents who first filed the case lacked the legal right to do so, but that instead Kacsmaryk has, quote, left the door open for extremist politicians to continue attacking medication abortion in his courtroom, unquote. And note, dear listener, that not only are our own state officials using the Amarillo district for convenient judge shopping on culture war matters, but now those of other Republican states are joining in the fun. As noted this first week of the session, Christian nationalist elements are no longer making any attempt to fly under the radar in Texas. Eric Killalay, who does great work for the Houston Chronicle in this area, details the defeat that wing is feeling over the loss of David Cook to Dustin Burrows of Lubbock for Speaker of the House, a win that hinged on the votes of the Democratic minority, including Austin Representative James Tallarico, whom we've featured on this podcast feed lately. Tallarico is himself a Presbyterian seminary student. He says he voted for Burrows because Cook's far-right political brand is endorsed by West Texas oil billionaires Ferris Wilkes and Tim Dunn, who are known for their ongoing and well-funded effort to force Christianity into every nook and cranny of public life in Texas. Lots of legislation aimed towards that end will be coming down the pike this session. Jahan Jones at MSNBC writes on the boldness of the hard-right Christian faction at the Capitol this week, boldness that he calls, quote, a warning about the theological rule that far-right Republicans are looking to install in Texas and potentially elsewhere. Christian extremists are champing at the bit over the power they expect they'll be given by the incoming Trump administration. And as they seek to impose their will, there's little reason to believe they'll stop at the Lone Star State, unquote. We are ground zero in this battle. Faith Bugenhagen at the Houston Chronicle says that one of the many bills seeking to limit your freedom from religion is coming from State Senator Phil King of District 10, northwest outskirts of DFW, who's back on the good old 10 Commandments in public schools classroom shtick. He did this last session, and the bill died in the House. Rep. Tallarico cited once again here. He's become a go-to counter for political reporters writing on religious issues lately. Tallarico says, quote, I think if Jesus read some of these bills, he would remind us to treat Jewish students, Muslim students, Buddhist students, Hindu students, atheist students as ourselves. And that's not what this legislation does, unquote, and agreed. Not to harp on this, but right on cue, yet another major child sex abuse scandal is developing at yet another North Texas church. Penelope Rivera at KERA in Dallas says late last week, North Texas pastor Joel Lafari of Iglesia Cristiana Verdad Viviente in Watauga, north of Fort Worth, was arrested and charged with continuous sexual abuse of a young child. An accusation related to sexual abuse against a child younger than 14 more than once during a 30-day period. Lafari is the second North Texas pastor facing new abuse allegations just this month after Pastor Jerry Nickerson was fired on January 6th from his post at the Hope Fellowship megachurch in Frisco after voluntarily admitting to inappropriate contact with a minor when he was a volunteer youth leader at a previous church. As we head into the weekend, you might spend a little bit of that time off you might have getting ready for some very cold weather inbound. Throughout the upcoming work week, much of Texas will find itself under a 90 to 100% chance of below normal temperatures, including hard freezes and in some places a risk of long duration freezes. Perfect weather for the Texas power grid to undergo yet another real-time stress test. Pipes, plants, and puppies all need a plan before Monday. There's talk of snow across the state, including Houston, Austin, and San Antonio on Tuesday, and the Panhandle's in for single-digit overnight lows early this week. Get ready, y'all. Our funding at Progress Texas is rarely sufficient for us to plan very far ahead, but the conservative disinformation machine we oppose has no such obstacle. They're funded by oil and tech billionaires and religious right-wing activist groups. Our regular everyday listeners form a key component of our funding here at Progress Texas, so if that's you, we could use your support as a monthly contributor. No amount is too small. Go to progresstexas.org/donate. Thanks to Phil Sokolsky, Matt Berry, and Cherie Allen, all of whom have joined the team lately. We appreciate all of you very much. While you're at the website, make sure and hit our web store for the merch to match your progressive values. You'll see Y'all Means All, Revolution, and our most popular Humans Against Ted Cruz t-shirts waiting for you there, all union printed right here in Texas, and lots more, all at progresstexas.org. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Friday, January 17th, 2025. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit, rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday.